Charlie Stern 55. Charlie Stern 55, Johnny 3.
In my role as a facilities person, I was invited to come up here to see whether or not this building, this facility, was valuable to the campus. It was for sale. What I found is that there was nothing inside of it that was of any value. The mechanical systems, the electrical systems were just played out because it was built in 1958.
Has anyone been in the bunker? What did it look like when you were there? Yeah, not much to see there now.
But mostly once they took all their stuff out, it looked pretty much totally empty.
And other, just odds and ends, but nothing interesting. It always strikes me that people are so interested in this space, and there's nothing there. It's just an empty box, concrete box. One of the cool things about it is, so there was a lot of just talking and teletyping. There was also, they had facsimile machines. In those days, it was before faxes, they had wire photo machines. And so that was one of the ways that they communicated, was to be sending these pictures. On the map, there were 4 or 5 places where compressed air or a vacuum would suck a piece of paper, a message in a bottle, from one place to another. Again, stories that I was hearing about this was the reason they had that was that if you put a message in one place, first of all, you knew, because the vacuum was present, that nobody had cut into the communication line, the pipe. Its physical plant, its physical presence reflects the incredible anxiety, the incredible paranoia that the United States of America had about surviving this event. Really, all of this was set up so that we could perform mutually assured destruction. In the 50s, was based on a punch card system. It would have been very noisy. So that computer room, reading, printing, sorting cards, there would have been a lot of punching, shuffling, fan noise, key strike noises going on. In the newer bunker in 1962, rather than punch cards to store data and instruction sets, it would have had a tape, a reel of magnetic tape, which was 1 inch thick. And in order for that to function, it had to be moved. So these big reels were spinning back and forth, and there's a very mechanical sound to that as well. Inside the facility, there were at least 2 places that I know of where there was a horn, alarm, called a klaxon, which was extremely loud. I mean, painfully loud if you were near it. I don't know why you need an alarm that loud, because you're indoors, the doors are locked. I mean, I said, oh yeah, you know, these are sounds that we would not have thought about in the day. So this is the war room. Today, you know, books for admissions or public affairs over there. The remainder of the collection that wouldn't fit into the new Natural Science Museum are stacked up over there. But in the day, this was a war room no less fantastic than any war room that you've seen in the movies. I recalled as an 11-year-old watching planes fly over the summer place that my parents had up in the northern mountains of New Hampshire.
The B-52s were out on this. They called it the Christmas tree. So this was called the mole hole, and this was the Christmas tree. The crews would be in here, crews of 8 guys, I think, and they went everywhere together all of the time. It was 24/7, 365, and they would wait for this klaxon.
And I got a telescope for Christmas, and so I was going to do, you know, what does it every 11-year-old do? You explore the world with your telescope. And I knew this was going to happen. It happened at noon every day, and so I got all set up, and the planes are coming over, and I'm looking at my telescope, and I see the planes have 8 engines. Now, at the time, every 11-year-old knew that there was only one plane in the world that had 8 engines, and that was the B-52 Stratofortress. And its mission at that time, this was, you know, the carpet bombing in Cambodia was happening, but generally the mission for those planes was to drop atomic bombs on the Soviet Union. And I said, Dad, those are atomic bombers. Why are they going? I said, oh, they have a mission. They fly every day, and they're flying to the Soviet Union with orders to bomb the Soviet Union. And they get a command, and you saw this in Dr. Strangelove, they get a code to come back. So it's like, oh, okay, really? So this is why, you know, we have a bomb shelter in the basement. I lived in southern Connecticut at the time, 20 miles away from New York City, and was pretty sure that if one of those bombs was dropped nearby, that it didn't matter if I was hiding under my desk in school or in the basement of our house. That was the end. In fact, one of the things that we were interested in as kids, being a boy, you know, competition and all, was the missile gap. The idea that we had missiles enough that we could destroy the world 11 times over. And the Soviets only have enough missiles to destroy it 5 times over, so we win, right? I didn't know the meaning of the word Pyrrhic at the time. Yeah, it's enough to make you nuts. Really terribly anxiety-provoking. But, you know, we all lived through it. We all reacted to it in some way. And You know, I like to think that what my parents were up to, they were activists, you know, got us beyond it. You kind of cling to that. There are Gretas in this world, and you know, got to look for them and foster them. That's the best I can do. Other than that, I don't, you know, I lost a lot of sleep as a kid. I remember drills. We used to have duck and cover drills. This is something you may have heard about in, again, the ancient history books. I did that, and you know, I looked at the big windows in my classroom, and I could almost see New York through them. I'm thinking, how's that window going to protect me from this thing, which I understand, you know, wiped out a whole city in Japan, 2 whole cities. Anyway, it's a lot of, yes, it's enough to make one crazy, but, you know, reflect, you just, you know, keep it in front of you. That's, yeah.
We interrupt this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow. A nuclear attack was commenced against the United States. This is not a test.
Looks like we're in a shooting war. I want you to transmit plan R for Robert, to the wing. And after you've done that, report back to me.
Turn 55.
Shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union. I call upon Chairman Khrushchev to halt and eliminate this clandestine, reckless, and provocative threat to world peace and to stable relations between our 2 nations.
I've been able to get a telephone transcript between President Kennedy, who was president at the time, and Curtis LeMay, who was in charge of all the military at the time. Basically, Kennedy says, stand down, Curtis, stand down. The Soviets have agreed to remove their weapons from Cuba. But sir, that means that we've lost. Allow me to launch my weapons anyway. I'll let that sink in for a second. The next word, of course, changed the course of human history. It was, no, you may not. Those weapons were the ones I described at Westover Air Force Base. He was in a bunker in Maryland. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere down there. And otherwise, the chain of communication to those planes, to those weapons, this was the last link. The phone call would have come here. They would have pushed the button up there. The planes would have gone in 2 minutes. And we wouldn't be here talking today.
This was their break room. Yeah, where they took a break. They have a big poster. Kids think it's fun to rollerblade down here.
Strangely, there's like some comfort, like because I can look back and go, all right, we got through that. Probably won't be so bad now. Like I know everyone's freaking out about everything all the time, but I'm like, you know, when you watch the news or I talk to my family, or it's, you know, they're like, it's never happened, it's unprecedented. I'm like, well, no, actually, it's been a lot worse in the past, so I think we're going to be okay.